Hello, Team 5 from Tutorial 8 will present the EBR system company, especially the YCRT system project in an economics and finance point of view. Heart failure is one of the most common sources of death with more than 6.2 million deaths each year. The global cardiac resynchronization therapy market is growing with an estimation of 5.1 billion US dollars by 2024. The YCRT system was created to address the limitations of the conventional CRT systems by generating ultrasound wave converted into an electrical stimulus to an endocardial receiver electrode placed in the left ventricular, and this one is synchronized to a pacing output in the right ventricular. ABR System is a company based in the US and created in 2003 for the higher treatment of cardiac rhythm disease through their only product, the YCRT system. EBR is currently in the stage of clinical trials for their product and has therefore not generated any revenue from the commercialization of the product yet. However, their ongoing costs are covered through the current awards, fundings, and investments. The YCRT system is considered as a simple and independent project for profit only. Therefore, the decision environment related to the product are purely related to the profit of the commercialization of the product and the time taken for the product to be on the market, including medical regulatory affairs, physician training, and use of the device.
Thank you, Jesse. Now moving on to the project cash flow statement. The inflation rate of the costs are assumed to be constant throughout the lifetime of the project at a rate of 5%. This is to avoid any bias. In terms of the costs, as we know that capital costs are not impacted by inflation, so it will stay the same. But when the company reinvests some of these physical assets, the costs may be higher if they are buying a new technology. The initial fixed cost per annum is approximately $4 million. However, the fixed cost will increase in the later years because the depreciation value of the newly reinvested assets are different to the current ones. Another reason is that some of these costs are impacted by inflation. Lastly, the variable cost of the project will be impacted by inflation and will increase in the future years except for reimbursement of clinical trials for participants and stock-based compensation for employees, as these are set by EBR systems themselves. The most critical variable costs that we should discuss will be how much it costs to produce one unit of YCRT system. Originally, to produce one unit of the product costs $45,650. However, by replacing the battery with a lithium iodine PVP or CFX battery, the cost becomes $45,500 and $45,350 respectively. Now I will hand over to Ashish.
Throughout the project, we aimed to find ways to reduce the cost of EBR systems. The main method we discovered was to use different battery alternatives, opting between a lithium iodine PVP or a lithium CFX battery. Both alternatives were chosen as they provide similar results to the pre-existing battery wallets, also ensuring extensive savings. The currently used battery costs around $500 USD, with alternative A and B being priced at $350 and $200 respectively. By switching batteries, the company can save around $150 to $300 per unit. The exact sales revenue details are not available to the general public, and therefore resorted to estimating the number of units sold according to previous yearly sales. By taking into account the growth of the company as well as inflation and other factors, we estimated the sales figure to be approximately 46,231 units sold. Sales revenue was then determined by multiplying this number with the product price of alternatives A and B, therefore resulting in a net price of $2.1 billion and $2.09 billion respectively.
So I will be talking about the cash flow statements of both alternative A and B. Since the product is not yet in the market, we had to make some assumptions for some values using the past cash flow statements and the financial statements of EBR systems. So in the cash flow from operating activities, the depreciation has been calculated by multiplying the depreciation value of their machinery and equipment for 6 months, and this value was taken from the past cash flow statement by 2, as the past cash flow statement was a 6-month cash flow statement. So, and the other values from the past are from the past statement, so they were basically assumed. And as they cannot be effectively predicted, the sales revenue of 2 billion has been calculated by adding an added value of between 5 to 10% to the cost of making one Y system product. of both alternative A and B and multiplying it by 40,000 units, as this is what we took as the predicted sales of each of the alternatives annually. The variable cost has been determined by multiplying the cost of making one of the alternative A and B product and multiplying it by 40,000 units, which is again the predicted sales, which gave two different variable costs. And the cash flow from financing activities has also been predicted, as it cannot be. Uh, it has been predicted from the past statements, and the tax that I have used here is 12.30%, as this company is based in California, Silicon Valley, and according to their government website, their income tax is 12.30%, which gave and end the net cash flow statement, the final cash flow statement. And as we can see, according to both the cash flow statements, alternative B has a higher net cash flow compared to alternative A annually.
So as seen in the table on the right, for both NPV and for BCR1 and BCR2 values, the company should go forward with option A, as the NPV of A is greater than NPV of B and it is also positive, and same for BCR1 and BCR2. Even though the variable costs for option A are greater than the ones for option B, the assumptions are logic as the expected battery used for this project is the one in option A, making it more viable and profitable.
For the risk assessment, there was a lot of uncertainties for the estimation of the project viability indicators. To ensure that the project is financially viable, the group have organized a project risk assessment to confirm that the economic benefits of the project does not exceed the costs. By conducting a qualitative and quantitative risk assessment, it will ensure the financial feasibility of the WISE CRT and its alternatives. To make sure that the project is viable, the key variables that could affect the project were accounted for. This included changes in the FDA basic regulatory requirements for medical equipment, changes in the FDA class of medical devices, changes in the FDA control regulations, which include labeling of the product, medical device reporting of the product, establishment registration, device listing of the product, quality system integrity of the product, supply chain variations, government policies and targets, the medical conditions of patients and their accessibility to the use of the product, and usage of the CRT system itself. Additionally, the group has conducted a sensitivity analysis to analyze the sensitivity of the net present value. While incrementing from negative 10% to 50%, it is evident that the most sensitive variable for the project is the discount rates, which has a variable change by 162.32%, while our least sensitive variable is the annual benefits, with a percentage change of 14%.
I believe that beginning with this kind of project for economics and finance is a good way for us as engineers to understand all the factors that could affect a project. These factors are not necessarily technical. It can be choosing a material, wages, or anything related with money, or even predict what would happen to a project. The project itself is brand new as it is the first project of EBR system, and because it is also the only ongoing project of the company with no other competitors, it was really challenging to find numbers and predict the sales as we could not relate to any other product on the market. However, we all feel like by analyzing the project and the fact that it is not yet released on the market, we were involved in it as much as if this project was ours.
Thanks, Jesse. So, based on our analysis, we highly recommend to provide more thorough risk analysis, such as by using Monte Carlo method to give better results. Secondly, providing more variables and elements in a sensitivity analysis to improve the financial management. Lastly, providing more viability indicators which are appropriate to improve in the decision making. Now I will hand over to the rest of my team members. Thank you.
So the concepts taught to us in tutorials and lectures have been very helpful for calculating depreciation and doing the financial analysis, helping us understand what the future prospects of the company is, and this will help us to give a detailed financial feedback of which alternative they should be choosing to release in the market.
The methodology involved in the subject allowed us to gain important knowledge on the financial aspects of our chosen company. The skills learnt allowed us to not only effectively analyze a variety of techniques used by companies to manage their finances, but also gave a technical understanding about how financial performance is maximized within a given time frame.
Throughout the report, the group have had to make assumptions on the financial numbers to fill in the gaps that were not provided in any of the company's financial statements. However, thanks to this subject, by creating assumptions for a project viability based on the calculated guesses and logic, The group have developed a thorough understanding of a project's viability despite the lack of financial data.